Hello everybody and welcome to Origin Stories on Digital Transformation. Today about Thomas Aquinas. It is these days of January 2025 that we celebrate the 800th anniversary of Thomas Aquinas' birthday. And you may now ask yourself, hey, what's the connection between this centuries-old thinker, Thomas, and our times of digital transformation? And the response is very much that Thomas is almost the first who brought into existence a rigorous line of argumentation with language. And in a way, you can call him an early precursor of what we now call chain of thought within the context of large language models and artificial intelligence more broadly. So the method that Thomas created, the scholastic method, typically starts with a question, like for example, is there free will? And in response to these questions, there will typically be two responses, two opposing responses, like for example, no, there cannot be free will because everything that we see on earth is determined by the cause that came before it and triggered it. And then there may be the opposing answer to say, well, yes, there must be free will because we feel in ourselves that moral law that tells us that we have the choice between doing the right thing or succumbing to something that is wrong. And following up from those two opposing responses, he would then pitch these responses against one another and bring about the best argument that they jointly create. For example, in this case, well, there must be two causes, two types of causes. One that is really deterministic and trigger a very determined outcome, and another one who may give rise to an array of different outcomes, like for example the one that we see triggering free will and our moral choices that we have. And it is really this rigor of argumentation that spiraled a lot of positivity into thinking, into creation of thought, and ultimately into the creation of universities, in particular the University of Paris, who is closely linked with its foundation to Thomas. And it is really that focusing on questions and opposing responses that argue with one another that is so important and that we still cherish today when we have a dialectic argument between two opposing sides and then carve out the real truth that comes from it. And just to take an example more recently of how true that still is, take Richard Feynman, one of the greatest physicists of the 20th century. He always recommended to his students, well, carry a notebook and write questions in it. It's really the questions that matter most, and then you wrangle, you ring with the responses for a long time, and if you do this persistently, something good, something better than you started with will come out of it. And I think that's a very nice takeaway, and we all owe this to Thomas. So with that, I leave you. I wish you all the best. Take care. Goodbye.